Hi everybody, it's Matt from trailbreak.net here. Uh, I've seen a couple posts about GSUM lately, and I wanted to clear something up because I think it's a spot where a lot of people don't realize something. And what I have here is Ames Ray Studio 3. In the top plot here, I have a GSUM plot, and then in the bottom left, I have an XY graph, what we usually call the friction circle. Sometimes we call it a latitude, longitude, G plot. And then I also have here a GPS map with the GSUM, the data from the top graph, plotted out on the map. These are three really good ways to look at the same information. And where I think people get mixed up is that they don't always realize that the GSUM information is really the information from this XY plot, from your friction circle. Because when we look at it, what we'll see as we play through a little bit of the data is we can see how they relate. So as we step through the data, we see this line is where our cursor is, where the car is. We see it right here past start finish on the track, and we see it a little bit above the origin on the GG plot. And we see that because the car is accelerating, so it's positive G's and really no lateral G's. As we step through and we approach the first corner, we can see now the GSUM plot comes up because we're on the brakes, and in the friction plot we start to go down. And this one looks like maybe the accelerometer wasn't calibrated or it's off just a little bit, but we see it start to come down, and they relate to each other. So as we keep stepping through the data, we see the brake building, and we're at 0.8 G's, and we see the same pretty close here because there's some lateral G force, and it builds in. And as we keep stepping in, we see we're starting to walk the outside radius, the outside circle of this friction plot, this tire grip plot, and we see we're up here. So now we're at 1G on here, and we see we're over. So that's where the lateral acceleration comes in. And now we see some drops, and as we see it walks around the outside here, and it walks here. And the reason why these go together is this GG plot, as we call it, sometimes we call it a GSUM, is the information comes from the origin of the friction plot, and it's this distance. So if we measured from the origin to the point we're at, that distance is the same as right here. And the math works out. I'm not going to get into the math channel on it, but that's the actual area where they come from. So when you look at this, it's the same exact information. This GG plot shows you the same information as the GSUM. Same exact info, different ways to look at it. Sometimes for one person, it's easier to look at another. It's a little easier to quantify the differences when we use GSUM because we can see it goes from maybe 1.05 to 0.95. There's some rules around that, but we're looking at the same data. It's not any different. And as we keep stepping through, we can see the little bit of deviation of how we come off the very outside of the friction plot here. And there could be reasons for that. It could be the shape of the track, it could be the car sliding, it could be a number of things. But we see that in it. So when we use this, we have to remember that one is not any different. One is not a better way to look at it. It really comes down to what you're trying to do and what you want out of your data. So I hope this is a good thing for people, and it helps them out a little bit and clarifies how things work. If you have any questions, feel free to post them up. Shoot me an email. And again, it's Matt from trailbreak.net, and I hope this helps you out.